Why excuses are toxic in business. First, I would just want to explain what is an excuse, then I'll explain why it's toxic, and then I will give a few examples. So, an excuse is an attempt to blame an act, usually an act of fault, on a certain reason outside your control. Now, why is this toxic, especially in business? An excuse pushes blame of something that you did or did not do onto someone or something else, not you. So, again, an excuse pushes the blame of a fault or a wrongdoing off of you and onto something else or someone else. This is toxic because when you take the blame off of yourself and put it onto someone else, you are removing yourself or absolving yourself of guilt, of responsibility, and you're saying, I had no control over this, it was something else. Now, the facts are in black and white something bad happened, and you were involved in it. However, at this stage, you're saying, oh, but this happened, so this is why it happened. Here's the reason, here's the excuse. It was because of this other example. Now, this does a few things. One, it basically says, yeah, it's okay that this happened because it was outside of my control. So it takes the responsibility off of you and it waives the feeling of guilt or waives the feeling of responsibility. Two, it takes the outcome, like whatever bad thing happened. So let's say you just did something and you made no money, or something happened and you made no money, and you say it was because of this third party thing. That doesn't change the fact that you made no money. It does not change the outcome that already happened by you saying, "Oh, it was because of this." The thing that happened already happened, and now you're just saying, "Oh yeah, it was something. It was like this other thing that caused it." You're taking yourself out of the picture and you are saying, oh yeah, like, I have nothing to do with this. This is really bad because a lot of times you could have controlled the situation. You could have done something. You could have done better. You could have done something differently. You could have done something that you did not do in order to change the outcome. But no, oh, it was outside of your control and you're not involved. You did a great job, but next time maybe it will be better because the thing that's outside of your control might change. This is ridiculous. Like, the thing outside of your control, you can't control at all. So why would you blame on something that you cannot control rather than take the responsibility and say, like, yeah, next time I'm going to do better, or I should have done this, this, and this to do it better. Or you could have just done the thing instead of, in hindsight, saying, oh, I could have done the thing. So let me give you an example. If you don't know me, by the way, I'm Max. I own Glacier NYC. We're a headshot photography business located in New York City, and we focus on actors' headshots. I also work full-time in construction management in New York City. And in both of these industries, there are lots of excuses. I'm going to start with an example from headshot photography. I speak to a lot of actors. I work with actors all the time. And a lot of the times when I'm speaking with the actors, I ask them how the work is going, how the acting is going. And for some of them, it's going great. And for some of them, it's not going great, right? Acting is a tough business in New York. And for so many of the ones that are not doing great, I'm like, oh, how's it going? Oh, well, I haven't been getting auditions lately. I haven't been booking as much as I used to. But the industry is slow. Or like, oh, there was a strike. And the strike was like 2 years ago, but I'm still recovering from it. I don't say this when I'm talking to them, but like I'm thinking to myself, I know plenty of actors who are getting a lot of work right now. I guarantee you that the strike is not impacting them because they're working a lot of the time now. Like, this is something that happened 2 years ago, and they just excuse their lack of success based on an event that happened 2 years ago out of their control. And I cannot tell you how many times I've heard this excuse. And this thing happened like over like a year or two ago. Oh, well, the industry is still recovering. I see lots of new shows coming out on every single streaming platform. Like every week, it seems like it's like, oh, new show coming out. Guys, like there's work in the field of show business and theater and acting. There's like Broadway shows in New York all the time. I just don't see how people can rationalize their lack of success based on this third party. Maybe they should work harder. I don't know. Here's another example. In construction, a lot of times people will blame something on an excuse. And it will be like let's say someone's building a house. We'll put it very simply, and it's a wood house. And the person who's building the wood house is all almost ready to go, but they're missing a few pieces of wood, and they're also missing a drawing showing them where to put the pieces of wood to build the house correctly. And let's say I'm paying them to build the house. And they come to me and they say, hey, I don't have a drawing and I don't have all the wood, so I can't build the house. And it's your problem, they say. Now they excuse themselves from building the house. They say it's outside of their control. They said, oh, I don't have X, Y, and Z, so I cannot build the house. As soon as this excuse is brought up, from the point this is brought up, the house is not being built until they get the wood and they get the drawings. So the people who are good at their job in construction would have known to get them the wood and get them the drawing before they brought up the excuse of getting the wood and getting the drawing. So this excuse was toxic. As soon as they gave the excuse, maybe they even only said, oh, I don't have the drawing, but they secretly were also missing the pieces of wood. They basically push out this saying like, oh, I can't do this, blah, 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 and then really they're actually missing something else. This is toxic. People use this to their advantage. It's like misdirection almost. They could say, oh, I'm really missing this one thing, but in reality they're missing something that they should be getting. It's toxic. It just pushes things, it slows things down, and time is money. Here's another example. Imagine you are on a flight, flying from, I don't know, across the country somewhere. And the pilot comes on the intercom and talks to the flight. Hey everyone, we're almost landing, but it's really windy, so we might crash. Could you imagine, like, this probably doesn't happen very often, but like, could you imagine if they say that? Oh, guys, because it's really windy, we're gonna crash and everyone's gonna die. Like, could you imagine this ridiculous excuse? I'm sure it's windy for like most plane landings and takeoffs. And guess what? They just figure it out and they make it work. Or if it's so bad that it's dangerous, they don't give up. Usually they'll get to the airport and circle around a bit and then try to land again. No, they try again. See? Maybe it's so dangerous that they don't do it. But guess what? They're trying again. They're not trying to say, yep, it's very windy, so I crashed. No, that doesn't happen that way. You see what I mean? These excuses are toxic. It's better to take responsibility, to try to push through the problem, to try to make it work. And own your failures, own your successes, and thank you for listening.